Do you want to be right, or do you want to be free? That's the question that I have for you today, the inquiry. There comes a point when we have to choose what we're truly prioritizing on our path. And we'll have to make the choice between righteousness and a sense of superiority, or feeling justified in our position, to letting a higher wisdom lead us, guide us, and liberate us. And it is at this kind of crucial precipice, when we're coming up against points of resistance, conflict, when the ego is really, really stubborn about something, really fixated on something, where we're being given an opportunity to pass beyond a gate of limitation and merge into a deeper experience of love, a deeper experience of liberation, a deeper, broader, wider experience of truth than we can access from our little position of self-righteousness. This is most commonly felt probably in conflicts, when we're in conflicts with another person, or when there is tension, friction, when the egoic nature in one or both individuals is active and triggered and mounting an attack or a defense. It's so easy to stay and play in that energy of meeting fire with fire, of tit for tat, of keeping score and tallying against one another. To me, that is just a loop of endless suffering. I've spent the last 15 years of my life getting really curious about my relationships, getting really curious about how I respond in my relationships, going from relationships that were incredibly unconscious and volatile and full of conflict and hostility and guardedness. There were so many guards between me and the people I cared about, and it feels as though the divine has really been schooling me through a lot of my relationships since my late teens in how to broaden and widen my perspective of what's important. And as I continue to deepen in the heart's wisdom, awareness, Christ consciousness, what was so compelling to me in the past about feeling right, feeling righteous, feeling a sense of superiority, feeling a sense of justification in my position, which was hard and cold and disconnected, that's so empty to me now. That's just a root of suffering and of loss and illusion, when actually the invitation through these challenging moments of conflict, of resistance, of coming up against something that's difficult to meet, is an opening. The wall we meet when we meet another person's ego or our own egoic response, when we're stubborn about something, is that we are meeting on one level a guard, on one level a closed door, but it's possible that that door can open and lead us into new depth of intimacy with ourselves and others, deeper love, deeper wisdom, deeper insight, deeper humility. And so we really have to make our choice, especially in these days, in these times, when so much is at stake at a soul level, when the highest invitation of the divine, I believe, is that we wipe the slate clean of our karmic entrenchment, of the lower expressions that keep us cycling in disempowerment and forgetfulness, and to choose another way, a middle way, the way of love, beyond the binaries. That Rumi quote, somewhere between right doing and wrong doing there's a field. I'll meet you there. I'm paraphrasing that, but that feels like the invitation of this moment, particularly in this moment of filming. It's Pisces season, but this message is timeless. The Piscean energy is one of merging, it's one of dissolving, it's one of letting go and returning to oneness, the ocean of interconnectedness, of letting go of limitations and barriers and boundaries, transcending and awakening into something higher, something broader, vaster. And that is what is our invitation when we come up against people, situations, moments where we meet a guard within ourselves that wants to attack or defend, when we meet a wall, when we meet a point of resistance. We're being given the opportunity to either, make our choice. Do you want to identify with that limitation as your nature, the self-righteous one, the one that wants to be disconnected, the one that wants to be right, the one that wants to see the other as an enemy rather than seeing their innocence and seeing that they are programmed and human and conditioned as well as being divine? Do you want to choose that, or do you want to choose freedom? Do you want to end this constant conflict, war energy that is so encouraged on this planet at this time, and liberate yourself? It really lies with you to do that. You have the choice. When we come up against these moments, we're having the opportunity to really gauge what's truly important to us. And certainly for me at this point on my spiritual journey, my soul is intent on freedom and liberation and returning to the way of love and embodying that truth as much as I can. I've been playing in the old ways, the tit-for-tat ways, the forgetful ways, the unconscious ways, the righteous ways. I've played in that for a long time. Did it bring me any closer to God? No. Every wall that we identify with becomes a barrier to oneness, a barrier to interconnectedness, a barrier to love, a barrier that blocks us out of the heart's energy. And in connections, so many connections experience issues because instead of focusing on the higher invitation to unify in love together, to move beyond these illusory small self limits and to merge into something greater together, people get fixed on their positions as individual, individuated parts at war with one another, that we've got to protect our stance, our belief systems, what we believe is right. And there is another way. There's a way where we can still retain a connection to what feels deeply true to us, what honors us, honors our boundaries, honors the way that we wish to live, and also doesn't dehumanize another, and it doesn't rob us of our capacity to see the innocence in another. To me, one of the greatest gifts of this invitation to choose freedom over being right is that it allows me to remember within myself that there is innocence within me, an innocence that doesn't wish to experience separation and conflict and harm and judgment, that feels the alienation, the isolation, the pain of that, and that wishes to reside within the embrace of love and wishes to experience that with another and see it in another. Every single being carries the light within them, the light of the divine, a divine spark that is so unique and pristine and innocent and pure. And I have seen it time and time again in my own personal relationships, that when I have chosen the middle way, the higher way of love and light and innocence, whilst maintaining, a connection to integrity and discernment and truth, those things come hand in hand. I have seen how my relationships have transformed, how great walls and dams between me and another person have dissolved in moments because we have chosen to return to the heart, to love, to tenderness, to vulnerability, to intimacy, to what's raw, what's true, when we are more dedicated to returning to the truth of our divine essence than maintaining the fallacy of our identity and the roles that we're playing, then we'll find freedom. When we are really committed to merging with love, as love, in love, then we find freedom. And we recognize that all of these walls we come up against, they are showing us all the places that we're not yet free. So do you want to be right? Do you want to stay in limitation and separation and deny the ache of your heart to return to the embrace of love and coherence and harmony and innocence? Or are you willing to meet those walls, to witness them, and to choose to move beyond them? To choose your liberation and the liberation for others too. When you choose that, you model the way for others. That there is another way out of this war, conflict, egoic consciousness. This fire meets fire, an eye for an eye. But there is another way. There is a way that honors the soul. There's a way that honors the purity and the innocence of the heart. There's a way that honors love. And the true unconditional nature of love, in my experience, is the most powerful balm and force in existence. In the light of unconditional love, everything can be dissolved into it and is already held within it. We are just remembering that. So I really invite you to just sit with this inquiry, ponder it, especially if you are meeting areas in your life where there's conflict, tension, resistance, a sense of separateness, severing. It's really just getting really, really clear with yourself and honest about what do you care about, what matters to you. Do you want to be right or do you want to be free? And that capacity to be free, to experience liberation, lies with you. What an empowering gnosis to know that your own freedom lies with you. That regardless of the actions, behaviors, unfoldings of life around us and the people around us, we can always choose freedom. And I feel that in the context of relationships, the biggest doorway to freedom is forgiveness. It's choosing to no longer let what has happened have a hold over us, to occupy contracted space within us, and instead choose to come into radical acceptance. That doesn't necessarily mean we forget or we deny the pain. We feel the pain. We come into acceptance of what was, and then we make the choice to not be governed by that pain anymore and to let love fill the places where there has been pain. Let God fill the places where there has been pain. Let God fill those spaces within you. Just breathe that light in. Let it fill you, hold you, carry you, and expand into the truth of who you are, your true nature. My hope is that more and more of humanity in these times of great awakening, mass awakening, more and more people choose freedom. Choose the freedom that's found in true love over righteousness and separation. Thank you for being here with me. Namaste. I'll see you in the next transmission.